252.
Hey, welcome to another episode of 252. Frank G here, along with
Johnny Blaze,
Coolwater Kurt,
Ralphie D.
Kylo D.
Could have been a rapper name.
Still could, you never know. As you may have guessed from the previous two sentences of conversation, today's topic is Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker, Mandalorian, endings, the endings of sagas and new beginnings and whatever else. Who wants to kick off the,
JB, want to come ahead and kick us off?
All right, hater of the group has arrived. I enjoyed the Rise of Skywalker.
What?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was by itself, standing alone, excellent movie.
In a dark room.
If you take all three of them and put them together, what it reminded me of is a really long Stephen King novel, like Tommy Knockers or The Stand. You got to go through and suffer through hundreds of pages of exposition to finally get to the story. But wait,
this movie wouldn't have made any sense.
The story is good,
Yeah.
but when you're done reading the whole damn thing, you wonder if it was actually worth it. But standing alone, throw away the first two movies, I thought Rise of Skywalker was very good.
Okay, Frank.
Well, as I was saying there, I said that's a good point of view, but it wouldn't make any sense. How would the movie stand alone if you didn't see the two that led up to it? It'd be pretty jarring.
Well,
what in the world is going on?
The two led up to it were basically headbutting each other. They put some
I just watched them all together,
points. They put some intriguing points. Oh, Captain Phasma. Let's see what they do with her. Oh, who is this guy Snoke? I can't wait to find out about that. Oh, and Rey. Who's her parents? And then the next movie came in and said, let's torpedo everything that was the very little interesting parts in the first movie. We'll torpedo those, completely change it, and you can tell. And I
watch
have
it
to
again now that
credits,
you've seen it.
You could tell that they had to do some serious work to repair the damage that the second movie did to the first movie. I mean, you could tell it looks like it was good, but there was definitely repair work going on.
They had those things planned. If you look at the score, especially, John Williams knew from the beginning. Rey's theme ties in with Kylo Ren's theme, ties in with Palpatine's theme, ties in with Snoke's
why
theme.
did they fire the director twice?
Done 4 times.
Because he was the second director torpedoed the first movie, so they fired him, and then they hired someone else.
They didn't fire. They had 3 guys set up at first.
No,
they had
I don't buy that.
They had Ryan Johnson, and they had Trevorrow.
Lucas
they
said
fired
the
Trevorrow
same thing about
because
Star
of Fantastic
Wars.
Four.
I had this all planned out 10 years ago.
You can chart it out.
I don't.
They didn't have it scripted. They did not have it scripted, but they had the plot, the general overview of we want these things to happen. Go ahead and get there however you want to get there.
And I think probably what JB is talking about, because I do share some of the sentiment, but I will go a little further. But some of the things that I would share, it was the last thing that he said, is when I was watching the movie, it honestly felt like, to me, the problems that I had with The Last Jedi, it seemed like they were just ticking off boxes of everything. I was like, well, because they did this, and now they're saying it's this.
But nothing changed.
And then the third movie, now
I watch them again.
Okay.
I could say that's true if you watch just the first 2, and then you'd be like, what the hell is going on? Or if you watch just one, if you watch them all, because I just watched them all in a row, it works. There's no hole.
Okay.
What was the thing where she was seeing the repeating herself instead of her parents? That was the Force trying to keep her from finding out.
My biggest problem with the first 2 movies are, even with all that exposition, I was not invested in any of the characters.
Well, that's
the main characters, Poe, Rey. I could care less. Finn. It's like I was endeared to him. I didn't care about him. He was doing crap like, oh, he's the best pilot in the Republic or the Rebellion. And it's like, don't tell me he's the best pilot. Show me. And that really didn't happen until the third movie. And I'm like, sitting there watching it. I didn't even know their names when I came out of the theater. I said, the girl's name's Rey, right? And there's this other guy who gave his jacket to the stormtrooper. I was calling him the stormtrooper, you remember. Yeah. That's how invested I was in these characters. I didn't care a lick where they lived or died.
And I understand that part because I said when we did The Force Awakens, and if you can remember, I said I was so bound up with nerves because I wanted this movie to be so good that I sat there kind of with bated breath watching it like I had to take a huge dump, and I didn't really enjoy. I wanted to enjoy the movie, but I couldn't. And then I enjoyed it, but I really couldn't until I was able to relax. And like how Frank said, sometimes you gotta watch it, and which I haven't done because I haven't watched Last Jedi since the theater because I was so upset when it came out of it. It's been available on Netflix. I've had it for free. You know.
It's on Disney Plus now. So
oh, whatever. I still got that. Well,
they moved it this week.
I say for free. Well, I'm still paying for it, but I could watch it. I still haven't watched that whole movie cover to cover since the theater, but some of the things that I'm remembering from reviews, what I remember, and the internet backlash. Another thing that I noticed is you introduced the Rose character in the second movie. There was an internet whatever they trolled her, the actress, and all this stuff. And in the third movie, they literally gave her nothing in the third movie. She might as well not even have been on screen.
They could have solved the whole problem by flipping the sisters. You know, they could have killed Rose and let Paige live, and people probably would have been okay for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, one was a lot more attractive than the other.
Is that why? That could be. That's not really a good reason.
Can I introduce just a little flaw, a small hole in the first movie? So I told you guys, I think Starkiller Base was the stupidest thing I've seen in a movie since The Invisible Tar in James Bond.
Right.
Because even someone with zero education knows we need the sun to live. If you absorb the sun,
they're absorbing the suns of systems they're killing.
Getting pulled in. And it's like, okay, once the star is gone, it'll be charged up. For what? To destroy a bunch of planets? They're going to die anyway because they just lost their sun?
Well, they want them to die right now. They don't want them to die over the period of 24 hours.
I don't think it would take that long for them to be wiped out.
You got to freeze to death, so it's going to take a little while
it's
for
like,
things to cool
that was stupid. And then the the walkers coming in. If you replace that red dirt with snow, that was the Battle for Echo Base.
That's partly why I liked it.
That's what annoyed me too, and
I liked it.
Also, the people haven't gotten they didn't really point out, unless you're into the other stuff, you wouldn't even have a concern about what it means. But Starkiller Base was the planet Ilum, which was the source of all of the kyber crystals, basically, that they can. So the Starkiller Base was essentially the world's biggest fucking lightsaber, and that's what it was doing.
Even with the third movie, every Empire ship now can blow up planets. It's just the standard. We're planet destroyers. We
especially now because they all had those cool little mini Death Star cannons on them.
Those were cool.
Yeah, I had a problem with that. I was like, I get it. They've been under wraps for 30 years, so I guess in 30 years he could have built that fleet.
No, but see, you knew about that though. You watched Rebels. You know of this story. The Emperor is out in the unknown regions, planning his stuff, building a fleet, putting it together. They've been setting this up for 10 years.
Yeah, and it's one of those things though where I think at that point in the film, I was like, well, I guess I wanted a little more because the preview or the trailer just really teased that the Emperor could be back with a laugh. It was just a tease. But then when you saw the movie in the opening crawl, no, he's back. And then in the opening scene, it was a montage. It was a lot of MacGuffins and a lot of things, but action-wise, I was into it. Like the action and everything.
Oh, like I said,
I think they cut a lot.
If you just watch the third movie, it's excellent.
But there's probably an hour missing from that movie, which is why it goes so fast at the beginning.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, like.
They said it was 3.5 hours when he first put it together, so that would make sense.
They should have just released the 3.5 hours.
They should have just done it. Yeah,
I would have watched it. I enjoyed it.
Of course, we would have watched it. If you put a 3-hour Star Wars, I'd have been like, I'm with it.
There have been 3-hour movies that have come out this year, and why not a fourth?
My last stance as a hater, I gotta say, out of all the Disney movies, the Star Wars movies, Rogue One is still the best one they made.
Oh, there you go.
Rogue One was excellent, and the other movies don't hold a candle to it.
And that's the one I like the least. So that's weird.
I know.
And I think part of the thing might be like what we were just talking about. The one thing that they definitely failed to do was to provide all of the information to the people who only watch movies.
Yeah,
I was invested in all those characters because I read 6 comic series, I read 12 novels, I read all this stuff.
Yeah.
And watched the Rebels series and all the things. Like the Mandalorian has the problem now where I was like, no way at the end, and other people were like, okay, what's happening here?
Well, don't spoil it. I haven't watched the last episode.
Right, okay.
He hasn't watched the last episode.
I watched all of them but the last one.
So I actually
see how I worded that so it didn't give it away?
Yeah, you actually did very good because I wanted to jump in there because I did this because Rayonitis was talking to me because he watched it and didn't know, but his son knew it because his son watched Rebels. So when he was talking to me about it, I was like, I had a nerdgasm because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it, all by myself.
I mean,
that's
usually how it happens.
Another problem with that, though, is look at all the people who are invested in the old books. The Timothy Zahn novels, and they read all that stuff, Heir to the Empire, and
that's
all got scrapped.
That me and Big Tom were heavily reread. All, however many they made, I think we read all of them.
They're bringing in bits of it.
I feel like I win because I read none of it.
I read none of it either.
Unpolluted.
Yeah, I like Rebels. I haven't seen the whole series, but I like
that was
Rebels.
the other thing. Like for me, like Frank just said, they've been bringing in little bits of it. Kylo Ren is the perfect example. Kylo Ren is
an
amalgamation of Ben Solo, Ben Skywalker, Jason Solo, and Jaina, and Anakin. I mean, they're just all the kids wrapped in one. And you can tell that if you read you can tell. Because first of all, his name wouldn't even have been Ben. Like Luke called his son Ben because Ben Kenobi meant something to Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Ben Kenobi doesn't even register to Leia because Leia wasn't looking for Ben.
Shouldn't register.
She was looking for Obi-Wan.
Either Ben or.
No, even in the first movie. If you just talk about the first movie, she was like, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi." Yeah, if his name was Obi, it would make more sense.
Right.
But Luke
she
always
did know
knew him as old
I'm here with Ben Kenobi. Ben Kenobi. So she did know his name was also Ben, but it wasn't her main term for him. So I'll give you that.
Well, here's one of my beefs with the movie, and I don't want to just bash on the movie because hey, look, all the work that went into it and all that stuff. Like JB said, I wasn't as invested in the characters as I wanted to be, but it was more Star Wars on screen, so there you have it. I didn't like how they did my man Chewie. Did you see?
They gave him his medal. They gave him the medal.
His medal. They did do that.
Finally.
Medals.
40 years too late. Yeah. Fuck your medal. But there was no drama really when the ship blew up and
No, I disagree. There was drama. I was like, oh my God, they killed Chewie. Literally 30 seconds later, I was like, oh no, okay, he's fine.
They could have worked that. They could have worked that to the end.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That
would have been some drama, but you find out 38 seconds later that he's all right. Again in handcuffs.
They did, but also he got the moment where he got to break down when Leia died and stuff. So they had some
there was some
Chewbacca moments in there.
There was some serious retconning going going on.
And they gave 3PO the best lines he's had in 25 years.
Right,
3PO
but then 3PO with the ultimate sacrifice, but again, R2-D2, oh, okay, I'm back.
Yeah.
Well, that made sense at least. Why wouldn't he have backups?
That's true.
I also had a problem, though, and I'm still hating. I don't want to hate on this movie.
I know you don't.
But the Force, use of the Force, it's like every time they've used the Force for telekinesis, it's like, and they got to focus on it.
Yeah.
And suddenly, Kylo Ren stops 2 plasma bolts midair, not even focusing. He's just walking around and bullshitting. And I'm like,
whoa. You talking about Force Awakens?
Yeah. And then the next movie...
I thought it was badass.
The next movie, you got Princess Leia doing her Ice Force flight through space.
Mary Poppins.
Yeah,
It's
well,
like,
now
what the hell was that?
Now that they showed her training and she was pretty much on par with Luke, do you think she couldn't
I don't
do
think
that?
Luke could be able to do something like that. I mean,
It
even
was just a
Yoda's
force pull, that's all it
struggling with telekinesis, and he's just around these plasma bolts.
And we
If
just
someone, if someone can pull a ship down from the sky, why couldn't someone pull themselves towards a ship?
yeah.
There's no
So I'm just saying,
difference.
he doesn't need concentration.
Magnets,
done.
dude.
He
How the
Thanos
fuck do they work? It's
He just, he just Thanos.
The only thing I look at it is the Force is very strong in the Skywalker family, for one, and for two,
different ways for different.
when you're let's say you're Luke, you're the big hammer of the rebellion. You're the Sith stopper. Well, when he's your trainer, you're just learning from him. It's like in the martial arts, you know.
You're only as
I don't
good
even
as
know.
your teacher.
I don't even know if Luke's the big hammer. I mean,
No,
really,
no, that's
his
what
father's the one who saved him, and he had just become a Jedi when he refused to strike
But
down
if you-
Vader.
But
if
there's
you-
30 years of stuff we don't have.
Yeah,
But not only that, I'm just talking about just with the movies. Look how strong Luke was with the Force without the Jedi Academy, without Jedi Masters moving him along.
yeah.
All he had was Obi-Wan for a hot minute, and then Yoda, and he didn't even finish his training. He left and went to go on adventures.
Supposedly,
And basically he was.
He went
Yeah.
back and finished,
And-
but then
yeah,
they
he
would
went back,
die.
yeah.
Ray had zero training, was able to hold off a so-called Sith Lord with a
But
lightsaber.
Rey absorbed all of the training that Kylo had, meaning she was basically trained by Luke, because she pulled it from him when they were connected. You know, this was the thing they had that connection, the Force dyad. Everything he knew, she knew, and everything she knew, he knew, and that's how they could connect and touch each other through space and time.
Yeah.
You know?
Which actually was kind of cool. The one part that I had, again, this is not I like how it was very similar to Empire, because they're very similar, because when Rey and Kylo shared that kiss, that was the incestuous kiss, even though they are only cousins.
They're not cousins.
They're not cousins. They're not.
I believe if
she's
it's canon,
Palpatine's
if it's
kid.
It's
canon,
not.
And
it's not canon.
No.
So Palpatine didn't force rape Anakin's mom.
No, the things that he was doing to create things in the Force sparked the Force to put life into her to put it out, but he didn't do it.
Anakin is
Because
Palpatine's
they had a
baby.
comic series about that not too long ago where they tried to make that point, and then he was like, no, I didn't do that, I did this instead. But yeah, no. So Vader was not the son of Palpatine.
Yeah, thank goodness. Boy, how convoluted would that be?
Because then it's not really Skywalker, it's really Palpatine blood is strong in the Force.
Yeah. I don't know. She did change her name at the end.
Anakin was like Jesus. He came from the Force that put itself in a woman. You know.
And you know what? Why didn't they make a thing out of what's his name? Did you ever hear the story of what's his nuts?
Darth Plagueis.
Darth
Plagueis the Wise.
Darth Plagueis the Wise. Why wasn't he a part of this whole thing? Because that would have made some sense. You know,
It would have.
Well, because he's been dead even longer than
even longer.
You have to go
Palpatine
back
was
to like
supposed be.
before the Phantom Menace to find Darth Plagueis, so they could still tell that story though.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the rule of two didn't apply because there was way more than two Sith. The Sith had a whole homeworld. Because if they get rid of the expanded universe, because in the expanded universe there was a Sith homeworld. And there was a lot of Sith. There were Dark Jedi and a lot of Sith.
And they had an empire at one time.
And they had all this
that
stuff.
fought the Republic.
But then they were supposed to be gone because they said all that stuff was gone. Now there's this. But I guess they're cherry picking certain ideas that they want. But not really.
They're gonna put back the bits that work and maybe leave out some of the stuff that got crazy. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
Because a lot of stuff did get crazy because for a lot of years we didn't have anything. All we had from after Jedi and before the Phantom Menace is all we had was comic books and novels.
Right.
And fan
some of us none. In games. There were games too.
in games.
I played the games. That's about it. Play Shadows of the Empire. That was a lot of fun.
No, I just watched the original trilogy over and over in that span until.
Then I played Knights of the Old Republic. That was a good game.
Well, going back to
Cooker
the movie, I think some of us really liked the movie, and some of us wanted to like the movie more than we did. Did I like the movie? Yes, it was just like Ralphie said. It's a Star Wars movie. You know, I'm gonna go see it. You know, I did not have the same feeling when I left Jedi, and I think when I left the Last Jedi, the reason why I was so upset about no matter everything else in the movie, Luke Skywalker was one of my favorite cinematic heroes, hands down, and I hated old disgruntled Luke Skywalker throwing the fucking lightsaber over and like not caring.
He was wrong, as he says.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That was wrong. Because at the
long.
end of that movie, he did come back and save the fucking day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even though
I know.
he was projecting or whatever, but. You know, he sacrificed himself to save the things one last time, which was pretty much Luke. And the idea that he fucked up and went into hiding is pretty much Luke as well. You know, he was never exactly the like people all say Rey is a Mary Sue, but then so was Luke. But Luke fucked up all the time.
But then there was that old argument: why is Yoda exile himself in Dagobah when the rebellion needs him the most?
Because there were lots of frogs and snakes he could eat.
Yes.
We learned that from Baby Yoda.
It's like what was it on Family Guy's version? He says, you must confront Vader. Why don't you do it? You're a Jedi Master. You're better with the lightsabers. No, you have to do it.
He's 970 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying that there was that old argument. Why they keep exiling themselves? It's like, okay, we need you the most, run and hide.
Well,
I mean, I think the overall point of the whole thing was that the Jedi were just as wrong as the Sith, and it's not either this one or that one. It's somewhere in the middle where we kind of are now.
but I also feel more so with the Jedi, they were super betrayed by the people they trusted the most, and were massacred. And so they were like, hey, everybody separate.
Well, they were betrayed by Palpatine, whom they did not trust, because they sent Anakin in to spy on them, and they were killed by the clone troopers who were just compelled to follow orders. So I think even Mace Windu, I sense a plot to destroy the Jedi. I don't trust Palpatine. Go watch and record his movements. I think they saw it coming, and they were just, and I think this is a good part of the story. Why I liked episode 3 so much, they're too complacent. They did not act, they acted way too late until it was already over. And I said, that's the problem with the Jedi. They sit around and discuss
by their own
things.
hubris.
Yeah.
Basically.
Whereas the Sith may be rash, but they act.
Yeah.
So I loved episode 3.
I can't remember what it was.
Great
it
movie.
could have been, I think it was, matter of fact, it might have been Clerks. But they were talking about how the Empire really wasn't that bad. There was order. I
think I may have been with the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, they didn't have Jedi lopping off limbs.
Yeah, a lot. There was order. There was clean. White suits.
No handrails though.
Yeah.
There should have been way more OSHA violations. Oh boy.
That's where it gets to Clerks, where we talk about the people who were building the Death Star.
Oh, that's what
that was
it was like. Look,
They're just contractors. They're hired to go in and do a job.
You don't see stormtroopers plunge in toilets.
That was Finn's job, right?
Yeah, exactly. But see, and here's a compelling argument I have too for the movie. Finn and Poe were basically the same person. They both were quipping their way through everything. You know what I mean? It was like everybody wants to be Han Solo. Everybody can't be Han Solo. But
they kind of hung out and met and then were put together. Like that'd be like if me and you were on that thing, we'd be doing that same thing.
That's true.
I think going further, what you were saying is they both had, in the previous 2 movies, they both had their own storylines and their own trajectories. And in the 3rd movie, instead of continuing on each one's storyline, they just converged into one and was the same. It was like
everything
kind of came was
together,
basically behind Rey every time something happened. Like, Rey, I swear he said Ray a thousand times.
Yeah, he just kept
Ray!
screaming her name, and it's like,
Ray, come back!
oh, there's something I need to tell you.
Yeah. What is it?
He was force sensitive.
You left the
That's
gas
what he was
on.
trying to tell her.
Yo,
I was
did
asked
they
that
explain
question
that in
walking
the
out of the
movie?
theater, and that's what I said. He's trying to tell her he's force sensitive, and then after that, they all got on the internet and said, "Yeah, that's what I was trying to tell her. I wasn't trying to tell her I love you. That's stupid."
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
I agree. But
So
still,
so in the movie, by watching the movie, the audience was supposed to realize that he was trying to say,
That's what I got. Yeah.
I'm force
Because literally, as walking out of the theater, my wife asked me that. What was he trying to say? And I said he's trying to tell her he's force sensitive, which he showed like 4 times in that movie, and finally was about to tell her at the end.
You know what I said? I don't care. I didn't
that's
care
fine,
enough
too.
about it. I didn't know I care what you had to
Yeah, I
say.
think we're gonna get a series now, a cartoon series. It's gonna be Lando and Janna going through the universe trying to do whatever they're doing, and we're probably gonna get to see some of the adventures of what Luke used to do in the past. Where we might get a series of something there too.
So I thought that
from Jedi to Force Awakens, what was happening.
I would love to see William December Williams back on his grind.
How about talk about Billy D wearing Donald Glover's outfit from Solo?
Oh yeah.
Ties it all together.
it's like Poe, I thought in the third movie became a lot more interesting. And Finn stayed uninteresting. He's like, I'm trying to tell you something. I'm like, I really don't care what
He
has
wasn't
to
all
say.
that interesting. He was kind of he could have been a B character that they kind of upgraded to an A character, you know?
He was
he didn't need to be on the main level with the others.
I guess they had a loving moment between him and Rose in the last movie, and then there was nothing in the next one. Like, you guys kissed in the last movie.
Because he didn't kiss her, she kissed him.
Right.
She kissed him.
So what happened?
Nothing.
He's not like us. We don't. You don't act on somebody kissing him. I do. You kiss me, I'm acting. This is one thing that I didn't like, and I have to keep bringing things up that I didn't like. What's his name? Redhead Snidely Whiplash saying, "I'm the mole."
Yeah.
I was like, what? Come
But I
on.
got killed 8 seconds later, though, so it was cool.
Again, you're the spy? Oh, of course he's the spy. Yes, of course he's the spy. They killed him. I was like, well,
Okay,
that happened.
No,
check
that
that
was a
off
good
the list.
opportunity. They could have brought in Agent Callus for a cameo there, but then again, people wouldn't know who the hell he was, so that was like, might as well leave it be him.
Right.
Yeah.
Who else was it gonna be, basically? You know.
Well, who else?
And they've been setting that guy up as trying to kill Kylo Ren for 2 movies.
That is true.
And he didn't accomplish his goal.
He just did the thing that a character did on another show that I can't mention without spoiling something for Mr. Kurt. But he did the thing where he's like, you know, I don't care if I win, I just want you to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hardcore at times. That is a hardcore way to be. And I can live with that.
Yeah, I
would agree though that was rushed. You know, they could have revealed it less jarringly, basically.
Right.
or they
But
could
they
not
were playing
have
it for a
revealed
laugh
it
at
at
that
all.
point.
They could have just not
That's
even
true.
mentioned.
But
who
then
the
people,
spy
it'd be
was.
another thing on the list of they didn't explain this. You know?
Well, shit, of all the stuff they didn't explain, I mean,
That's
just
I like not having everything explained because
I
then you
agree.
get to, you know, that used to be what we did with the toys, man. You know, was
No,
fill
I
in
get
all the
that.
blanks.
Yeah.
like, no, I get
252.
Adonis, pull yourself together.